There's a computer store on every block. But finding the best computer store shouldn't be left up to a roll of the dice. Make the right move to Frederick Computer Products, your authorized dealer for IBM, Panasonic, Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Apple, TI, and a complete line of peripherals, all at the lowest prices in the area. You'll be a winner every time at Frederick Computer Products, your one-stop computer shop located in the city center mark Middletown. We're worth the drive.
Now Seiko gives you the moon in all its phases on the world's first analog quartz chronograph, and Taylor's gray with dashes of gold tone in a man's modern classic. To an elegant dress circle, Seiko adds a date window and creates a bold alarm chronograph to sport everywhere. At Seiko, great technology inspires great design. Seiko watches and clocks at your authorized dealer.
Al Jewelers, 1049 Eaton Avenue, Hamilton.
Up on Speedweek, racing gets its first $1 million bill.
Rahal helps pay the rent.
And Big Daddy gets another big payday.
This and more coming up on Speedweek.
Speedweek is brought to you by BF Goodrich, makers of high-performance TA radials. We make cars perform. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads. Depend on STP, your car care company. And by Pennzoil Motor Oil. Quality protection. Ask for it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Speedweek. I'm Larry Newberg.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. Last Sunday's Southern 500 wasn't just another Grand National race. Bill Elliott had a chance to win a $1 million bonus.
And unless you've been cut off from all forms of media, by now you know he did it, live on ESPN. One of the biggest stories in auto racing's history, Bill Elliott won the Winston Million, winning this year's Southern 500. A victory celebration like no other, but nothing like this before was ever offered and then won. A $1 million bonus for winning 3 of 4 stock car racing crown jewels.
I don't know. I think it'll settle in sometimes next week. I can't believe it.
What were you thinking in the last few laps when it came so close?
I just said keep my cool and do what I always do, and it worked out.
Before the race, there were special greetings from home. And even though the media picked him to win and he sat on the pole, the odds were, well, 1,000,000 to 1, or to 9. Joining the front row, appropriately, his boyhood idol, David Pearson. He has the most career Darlington wins, but would be the first out. Bill surged to the first lead. The lady in black touched Rusty Wallace and Phil Parsons this day. Phil blew a tire and took Rusty into the waiting arms of the legendary dame. She breathed fire into this, but no injury. Now look at Elliott's roof number. It's applied backwards, looking more like an E than a 9. E for Hurricane Elena, extraordinary, or just Elliott. But by no means was he the Atlas today that has carried the world in other races. Bill admitted Harry Gant was swiftest, but he would be the first of Bill's pretenders to the throne. Ironically, they almost took him out. Dale Earnhardt flogged and smoked his way to the lead. Finally spinning, Bill just darts through on the inside. Late, he trailed Cale Yarborough, winning the Southern 500 driver of all time, when those hopes smoked out in a cloud of power steering fluid. Bill dodges another head-on freight train. Several late cautions kept postponing the end. Bill agonizingly clutching to first, but Hollywood could not have written the storybook ending better. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Elliott now has a commanding lead in points. His money total now $1,850,000, with perhaps 350 more coming. Already an all-time racing single-season record take by twice as much as Mario's previous money record.
If Grand Nationals provide drama, sportsman cars can be heart-stopping. When they attack a place like Darlington, you swallow hard and sit on the edge of your seat. Jack Arute has a report.
Tim Richmond and Joe Ruttman brought the field down for the Pontiac Winner's Circle 200 and proceeded to leave the rest in their exhaust. Richmond showed enough muscle to keep Ruttman at bay until a caution was thrown for Rodney Foucher's spin. The leaders elected to pit except Richmond. His strategy to stay out as long as possible and then duck into the pits for some fuel. His gamble failed, and he was forced to pit under the green later to take on gas. The front spot then went to Ruttman. But on lap 106, Ruttman and Rusty Wallace came together to bring out yet another yellow. Ruttman was out, but Wallace managed to continue. On the restart, Darrell Waltrip worked his way into the front spot. Earnhardt, Brad Teague, Richmond, and Rusty Wallace all applied pressure, though, to Waltrip. By lap 122, a front stretch crash almost cost Darrell any shot at the win. Earnhardt and Richmond weren't as lucky and both tested the Darlington concrete. Darrell drove under the checkered flag, safely the victor, but the battle behind him was a tough one, with Rusty Wallace edging Brad Teague in the closing laps to redeem his afternoon after his earlier spin. Third went to Teague, while Morgan Shepherd, subbing for a fatigued Jimmy Hensley, took fourth, and Larry Pearson rounded out the top five. For ESPN Speedweek, I'm Jack Arute.
Going home from Darlington Sunday, a tragic plane crash, significant not only to the world of racing, but also for those of us who cover the sport. Killed were Richie Panch, Dale Singleton, and their companions, 20-year-old Rosemary Pardis of Daytona and 25-year-old Barbara Fairbanks of Hickson, Tennessee, in a small plane outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Dale was a two-time winner of AMA's Daytona 200. He was from Dalton, Georgia. Richie won 5 NASCAR North races in 1972 and was named Rookie of the Year at age 16. He raced some Grand Nationals, his best finish a third in 1974 at Richmond. Richie was jovial, optimistic, but also introspective. Currently, he was a field producer for Motor Week Illustrated, also a former production assistant for us here at ESPN. And the dream of driving Grand Nationals still smoldered. His father, Marvin, won the 3rd Daytona 500 in 1961.
The ASA race at St. Paul, Minnesota was rained out Sunday. ASA driver Alan Kowicki will drive the Hardee's Ford in the remaining Grand National short track races. And IndyCar driver Chet Phillip has purchased an Elliott Ford and is expected to make his Grand National debut at Atlanta.
In our next segment, Bobby nips him in the bud for the first time.
And it's a good year for Sports 2000.
BF Goodrich TA Radials update for enthusiasts. Subject off-road traction. More professional off-road races and more pro rallies were won last year on the same BF Goodrich TA Radials you can buy than on any other tires. One reason, traction. Another, durability. And that same race-proven technology goes into a complete line of TA Radials for many driving styles, including yours. BF Goodrich TA Radials. We make cars and trucks perform.
There's been an important change in STP to better protect your engine. It's a new and improved formula. Now, here in your oil ways, STP fights to keep dirt and sludge from building up. This is a new STP, giving you extra protection from wear. Get new improved STP oil treatment.
STP is the racer's edge.
For everyone working to keep the customer satisfied.
This bud's for you. Nobody else can do the job the way you do. So here's to you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this bud's for you.
Sunday morning on ESPN, feel the excitement of Formula One racing with the Italian Grand Prix from Monza, Italy. Precious points toward the World Driving Championship will be the reward for the top finishers in one of the season's last events. Live Sunday, only on ESPN.
Part 2 of ESPN's auto racing doubleheader last Sunday was the Escort Radar Warning 200 for Indy cars at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Our color commentator for the broadcast, Derek Daly, reports.
Rahal qualified more than a mile an hour faster than his second-place starter Danny Sullivan. Bobby jumped into the lead at the drop of the green with Danny and Jeff Brabham trailing. Going into this race, Al Unser Sr. was in the points lead, but Al's rear tire blew early and Unser finished next to last. Rahal gave up the lead only once when he came in for his first pit stop. Mario took the lead then, but when he pitted, Rahal went back to the top spot. Johnny Rutherford had perhaps the hardest encounter with the guardrail, and his car came to rest in the middle of the track. Traffic got tight, but everyone avoided. Others who didn't finish: Roberto Moreno, who started 5th. Michael Andretti was running 5th when he pulled off course. Brabham looked strong until unscheduled pit stops. Danny Sullivan finished 2nd in the 200-mile grind. He inherited 2nd place after Mario blew a tire and spun on the final laps, dropping him to a 7th place finish. Jacques Villeneuve was 3rd. Emerson Fittipaldi, who's also in the points battle, had a disappointing weekend. He started 13th and finished 8th. Bobby registered his first win of 1985 and his first since Laguna Seca last year.
Up until the last stop, I was running as hard as I could, not taking unnecessary chances, but when we got a free lap and without traffic, drive as hard as I could, and we were able to pull away from them, and I got caught in traffic a little bit, but then I'd get it the next time around, and really the last 20 laps or whatever went by too slow.
This is Derek Daly reporting for Speedweek.
Mario Andretti is back on top in this leapfrog points contest, followed by Senior and Emerson Fittipaldi, a virtual three-way tie. Allenser Jr. suddenly a factor, just 8 points behind, followed by Sullivan.
Supporting the Indy cars at Mid-Ohio, the SCCA Super V's. Davy Jones led the first 14 laps, but then things started to go wrong for him. A spin drops him to 4th place and gives the lead to Jeff McPherson. But after leading only 2 circuits, Jeff is passed by Kerry Bryn in the black number 11. Kim Campbell started 2nd, but wound up against a bank of sand. Gary Rubio spun, exiting turn 2. Detroit Super V winner Peter Pander was an immovable object after a spin, and Harry Sauce found himself in the same predicament. Bryn is also among the spinners while leading. That elevates former midget driver Mike Croft to the top spot. By this time, Jones has moved back up to 3rd, but puts himself out of the race trying to take 2nd from McPherson. Groff only leads 3 laps, but they were the most important.
Thomas Knapp, who has controlled Sports 2000 racing this year, was involved in a spectacular practice crash and couldn't race last week. Chicagoland stalwart Bill O'Connor shared the front row with Columbus, Ohio's John Fergus. England's Calvin Fish, Canada's Scott Goodyear, and Florida's Mike Yoder tussled the early part of the race in these 3 red cars. O'Connor led big, but the tires went away, and Goodyear, who prevailed into 2nd, inherited the win. Businessman racer Fergus, an investment banker during the week, held on to 2nd, backing up several top 5s this year.
It's a tough series, and we're driving as hard as we can. We're going as hard as we can. I guess somebody just went a little harder today than we did.
Still not bad for a man who really wears a suit all week long, is it?
Well, I just have a different kind of suit on when I come here at the racetrack. It's Nomex as opposed to something else. But Randy and I are working as hard as we can at this, and he does a good job, and next week's ours.
The defending world endurance champion and Tyrrell Formula One driver Stefan Bellof was killed Sunday in a WEC race in Belgium. The accident occurred as Bellof was attempting to pass his Porsche teammate Jackie Ickx for the lead. Bellof's car hit the guardrail and then exploded in flames. The 27-year-old West German died in the track hospital and became the 2nd WEC driver in less than a month to suffer fatal injuries in a race. Last month, Manfred Winkelhock was killed at Mossport Park in Canada. Formula 3000 driver Philippe Strife has replaced Andrea De Cesaris in one of the Ligier Formula One cars. And Alfa Romeo will unveil a new 4-cylinder inline engine at Monza this weekend. There are rumors that Alfa will not fund a team next year, but will become strictly an engine supplier.
Coming up, they were 2 abreast all day long in Indianapolis.
And 3 abreast on the dirt in Springfield.
Deere Pontiac has taken in a lot of trade-ins. Here's just a small selection. A 79 Ford Mustang, like new. An 84 Fiero. An 84 Chevrolet Cavalier. An 83 Caprice Estate Wagon. An 83 Chevette. An 85 Pontiac 6000. Fear Motors would like to earn your business. So take the worry out of buying a used car. Come on in to Fear Motors, Route 4, across from the Hamilton Plaza.
Marvin's TV and Blue Ball continues its tradition of discount prices. They made a deal with Magnavox. See the complete line and get ready for fall TV viewing. Here's a sample of the money-saving prices on Magnavox at Marvin's. A color portable TV with all the great Magnavox features as low as $199.95. You got it. For as low as $199.95, you can buy a Magnavox Color. Mind you, color TV set. Hurry to Marvin's TV in the Blue Ball Mall.
Matchups of all time. The year 1981. The grappling gladiators Vern Gagne and Nick Bockwinkel take it from the AWA's Super Patriot himself and fall in for a little close order drill Tuesday.
That's an order.
Travel arrangements made through Eastern, the new leader in service to all the Americas, serving over 127 cities, 22 countries, and one magic kingdom. At Eastern, we earn our wings every day.
There were some interesting matchups in the finals of the NHRA US Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The Pro Stock Finals pitted Bob Glidden in the far lane from nearby Whiteland, Indiana, against Michigan's Bruce Allen. Allen came to the line with a couple of valves leaking, and that was enough to put him in the runner-up spot. It was Glidden's 6th Nationals title and 45th career victory. The funny car finalists have been friends and neighbors since high school. John Lombardo in the near lane against Dale Puldee. Green light, and it's Puldee up in smoke. Lombardo has his 2nd national win, but his 1st since taking over as driver of Raymond Beadle's Blue Max. In the Top Fuel Finals, it's the old veteran and defending champion, 53-year-old Don Garlitz against 23-year-old Darrell Gwynn. The youngster from Miami, Florida, loses an oil line just after the start, but fights bravely to the end. Garlitz, however, has his 7th U.S. Nationals title and adds to his points lead over Joe Amato. Last year's runner-up in Top Fuel, Connie Coletta, was arrested for battery on a policeman in Indianapolis. His case was continued until September 27th. The deputy he allegedly assaulted has filed a $100,000 civil damage suit.
The Illinois miles were busy last weekend. Cars on Duquoin and AMA bikes on Springfield. It took him a while to get going, but defending champ Ricky Graham has been getting his act together lately. One corner, then the usual passing brigade begins. Points leader Bubba Schobert zips under Honda teammate Graham. Another Honda, Oklahoman Ted Booty, follows through. Next lap, I guess, they all seem to look the same. Booty returns the favor. On the white flag, Texan Schobert ducks into the lead in corner 1. Seems early, and you know what? It is. Graham makes the mile patented move going into 3. But off turn 4, it becomes a 3 abreast finish, and Booty thinks he's won. Premature, Ted. Ricky wins, his 3rd in the last 4 races, and his celebration turns out to be for real.
The cars on the Duquoin Mile in southern Illinois were the USAC Championship dirt cars. Silver Crown points leader Rick Hood set a new track record in qualifying and led the first 4 laps before Chuck Gurney in number 30 took the lead in turn number 3. By lap 14, Gurney had a sizable lead and was beginning to lap slower cars. At the halfway point, several top contenders had fallen by the wayside, including Gary Bettenhausen and Ken Schrader, who finished 14th in the Southern 500 the day before. The first yellow came out on lap number 73 when Duke Cook stalled in turn number 2. Chassis took the lead on the 91st circuit when Gurney jumped the cush and Chass moved low. The field was slowed again on the 92nd lap when George Snyder slid into the guardrail on the front stretch. The race resumed on lap 96 with Chassis looking like a sure winner. But Hood passed in turn 3 on the 98th lap and beat Gurney, Chassis, Sheldon Kinzer, and Kramer Williamson. Randy Standridge won his first ever USAC sprint race in Granite City, Illinois. Brad Doty won the final race, but Kevin Doty was champion of the 10-race Skoll Long Cut Dash Midget Series. In World of Outlaws sprint racing, Sammy Swindell won the feature at I-70 Speedway in Missouri.
The most revered super-modified race in the country runs annually Labor Day weekend. The Oswego International Classic. Locals have become almost invincible, unlike the early days when Michigan drivers ruled. You can't run this event without thinking about the most legendary names in supermod history, Jim Shampine and Nolan Swift, who combined for 9 wins in this great race. Hometowner Joe Gosick leads early but saw his dreams evaporate in this wild blown engine slide in front of everybody. Other leaders today, 75 winner Ohioan Gary Albritton, hometown Steve Gioia, and surprising Boston area driver Mike Ordway. The race also attracted Doug Hebron out of NASCAR and USAC's George Schneider. But this year's Classic winner, 83 titleist Eddie Bellinger, who held off another former winner, Bentley Warren.
In our next segment, Trans-American racers are in Canada.
And Canadian-American cars are in America. Stay with us.
To help get your car ready for fall, quality Pennzoil motor oil in this easy pour plastic bottle is on sale now. No coupons, no rebates, just real savings on all the Pennzoil you can get your hands on. So stock up now on that great Pennzoil protection. Quality Pennzoil in this handy plastic bottle and on sale. Now that's a real deal.
Tonight, a fantastic Super Bowl matchup that lived up to its pregame hype. It's the San Francisco 49ers against the Miami Dolphins tonight.
BF Goodrich TA Radios. Update. For enthusiasts. Subject, TA technology. One brand of high-performance tires. One was rated first overall by Car and Driver magazine. The V speed-rated BF Goodrich Comp TA. First two in wet maneuverability and wet braking. And the same race-proven technology that went into the Comp TA also went into the entire family of BF Goodrich TA radios. Sports coupes handle and corner precisely on TA radios. Trucks get outstanding off-road traction and quiet, comfortable highway performance. The fact is, the same winning technology that brings you the Comp TA also brings you a complete line of high-performance TA radios in many sizes, for many different driving styles and performance needs, including your own. BF Goodrich TA radios. We make cars and trucks perform.
Live auto racing headlines ESPN's Total Sports Sunday. We're the driving force with lap-by-lap coverage of the kart Molson Indy from Quebec. Auto racing's #1 network follows up with encore Formula One action. The Italian Grand Prix is key to the World Driving Championship. Later, NFL Films crowns the league's most valuable player for the '84 season. It's a tough choice between Montana, Dickerson, Marino, and more. A Super Sunday of sports on ESPN.
SCCA's Trans Am division visited the street course at Three Rivers, Quebec last weekend. 3 cars are damaged in turn 1. Formula One driver Philippe Alliot gets sideways and hits John Jones on the inside and is hit by Jim Miller's Orange Capri. Jim's radiator is damaged and the water he's leaking makes for a slippery racetrack. Tom Gloy almost loses it. Willie T. Ribbs has the lead with Wally Dallenbach Jr. second, followed by Paul Miller's Porsche, Elliott Forbes Robinson's V6, and Chris Neifel. EFR passes Miller for third, and Epi Wheatsies bumps by also. Epi moves to third temporarily, but then loses the right front. He manages to scrape his way to a 5th place finish. Willie T. dominates this one and chalks up his 6th win of the year.
Perhaps a bit of a misnomer. Formula Atlantic cars run series on both ends of the continent. They too were in downtown Three Rivers. East Coast Formula Atlantic cars seems a little more appropriate, doesn't it? I mean, Atlantic cars on the Pacific? Well, anyway, this is the biggest grid of the year. Points leader Mike Angus was quickest, but spun and recovered back to third. But the man who wins most of the races on the West Coast, Dan Marvin, hauled across country, qualified second and led. Dayton, Ohio's Chip Meade climbed in an Atlantic car for the first time in 6 years and climbed onto the victory stand second. It was the first time this year Marvin has raced east of the Mississippi, but he won. Then the crew immediately turned around and headed for Portland. West Coaster Jimmy Santos was 4th, Easterner Michael Greenfield 5th after crashing in qualifying.
Race number 3 in Can-Am at Lime Rock, Connecticut produced the series' 3rd different winner. Dr. Lou Sell in car number 5 was on the pole and practiced quicker than the Porsche 962 turbos. But when the race started, Rick Miaskovitz in car number 3 took the lead with number 37 Horst Kroll second. The pace car comes out because of an accident involving Johnny Tartaglia, and on the restart, positions change. Peter Greenfield in car 41 moves to second, Sell drops to third, and Kroll to fourth. Miaskovitz wins by a second and a half and averages 101 miles an hour in his Frisbee Chevy, his first professional win.
VW Cup shared the Can-Am's billing. Paul Hacker, the Yellow Zero, and Alistair Ogue, a couple of New Yorkers, snatched the front row. Ogue led a lap, but once again, a big story was the drafting of Indianapolis's Kurt Matthewson. He hitched a ride with Hacker and they banged frontward. Don Finacchiero had just an odyssey in one turn of this race. A chorus of screeching tires chased, engines silenced by mufflers, but a familiar name made the loudest noise. Old pro Paul Hacker just wouldn't let the young bucks catch him. He won again.
The team of Kim Baker and Steve Lewis picked up the $50,000 bonus from Goodyear by winning the SCCA Playboy Showroom stock race at Lime Rock. The Morrison Cook Corvette, driven by Don Knowles and Bobby Carradine, finished second.
Here's this week's trivia question. Bill Elliott bought his first Grand National car from a famous owner. Was it A, Roger Penske, B, Junior Johnson, C, Petty Enterprises, D, the Wood Brothers, or E, Bud Moore? We'll have the answer right after this.
Painting your house? Any professional painter will tell you, if you want a beautiful finish that will last, the most important thing to do is properly prepare the surface. This could mean hours of hard work, scraping and sanding. Or you can do it the easy way with Restore-X Exterior Paint Remover, the remarkable paint remover that lets you rinse away layers of old weathered paint quickly and easily. Watch. The side of this house is coated with 4 layers of latex and oil-based paint. Simply apply Restore-X, wait, then lightly rub with a brush. Now rinse and watch Restore-X remove the old paint right before your eyes. Restore-X is great for window frames and moldings, railings, fascias, painted decks, fences, doors, even aluminum siding. So get Restore-X Exterior Paint Remover today and just rinse away old weathered paint.
Restore-X, another new product from your service and value leader in Middletown, Dason's Home Center, located behind McDonald's on Brill Boulevard.
Well, here's the answer to this week's trivia question. Bill has always raced Ford products. Petty didn't race Fords as Bill was coming up, and although Moore in the Woods fielded Fords, they're not the answer either. Neither is Junior Johnson, but A, Roger Penske sold his used Grand National Mercuries to the Elliots in the beginning.
Only one national hare scramble remains on the 1985 schedule following last weekend's event near Millville, Minnesota. When the riders began their 3.5-hour trek, only 2 points separated the top 3 riders. This course is 12 miles in length and includes a crossing over Spring Creek, a washboardy motocross-type area, some motocross-type jumps, and the opportunity to bother Elsie and her friends trying to find some peace and quiet in the meadow. Ed Lojak finished second in this event and found himself off his bike at one point. John Martin from Duluth, Minnesota won and lengthened his points lead.
Looks a little bit like the guest list at your birthday party. Today's his birthday. Formula One and IndyCar racing this Sunday on ESPN. The birthday boy will have the Italian Grand Prix at 8:50 Sunday morning. Then Jack Arute, Derek Daly, and I will have the IndyCar race from Saint Air in Canada at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. I'm Larry Newbern.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. We'll see you next week on Speed Week. We leave you with a salute to $1 Million Bill.
Speed Week has been brought to you by BF Goodrich, makers of high-performance TA radials. We make cars perform. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads. Depend on STP, your car care company.
If you're looking for an asset management account that gives you high-quality services without the high price tag, stop looking. It's here now at Charles Schwab & Company, America's leading discount broker. Compare Schwab One with other asset management accounts. With Schwab One, there is no monthly or annual fee, none. When you buy or sell securities, you can save up to 76% in stock brokerage commissions, compared to rates charged by full commission brokers. You can buy or sell no-load mutual funds. You can borrow on your marginable securities at low interest rates. You get high interest on cash between investments, a free Visa card, and free checking. You can open a Schwab One account with only $5,000, not $20,000 like the others. Schwab One, all the financial services you need without the high price tag. For a free Schwab One brochure and application, call 800-453-8100 toll-free. No salesperson will call. That's 800-453-8100. Call now.
Australian Rules Football is brought to you by the oldest airline in the English-speaking world, Qantas, the airline of Australia and by Australia, the wonders down under.
Hello once again, I'm Sandy Roberts and welcome down under for our exclusive presentation of Australian Rules Football. This week's matches are the last of the first round games, or as we call them, the home and away rounds. Next week, it's on to the playoffs. This week's match is between the Carlton Blues, who are fourth on the league ladder, or standings, and assured of a place in the playoffs, and the Collingwood Magpies. They've had a disappointing season, really, and are currently seventh on the ladder with absolutely no chance to participate in the playoffs. So, what's the big deal about this match, you may well ask? Well, Carlton and Collingwood are old rivals, and it really doesn't matter where the two teams are on the league ladder. A clash between these old warhorses is always a fiery affair, and a long-awaited one on the VFL calendar. Incidentally, the Carlton Blues welcome back their veteran defender, Bruce Doull. At 35, Doull hasn't played since the second round this year, when he injured his ankle, so he'll be a welcome addition to the Carlton lineup. Well, now to the action. The game is being played at the vast Waverley Stadium, VFL Park, as we pick up play with highlights of the first half.
Two Collingwood players spoiled each other. Fraser Murphy waits down.
First up, a great tackle by Carlton captain Wayne Johnston.
Holding the ball. Superb tackle on for Bruce Abernethy. Johnston.
And a shot at goal.
Giving himself a chance here. He's got Madden in the square.
Incidentally, he's kicking with the breeze at his back, so the ball will travel a little further that end of the ground.
Shepherds it through for a goal. McConville does affect the spoil. Murphy
Here's the teamwork of Carlton.
It's a bad one. Ashman backing up. Lend support now to Meldrum. Oh, he runs into trouble, and he cocked one too high. Collingwood fans will not be happy, but he will take a free. Chance to post the Blues second. He just stabs away, but he goals. And Carlton are off to a good start.
Yes, two quick goals to the Blues. Here's big Justin Madden, one of the better players in the VFL. And here's one of the most exciting, David Rhys-Jones.
But it's a beauty. Well, the Lopez was Madden, then Rhys-Jones, then Ralph, and Ashman's stopped for a chat there in the forward pocket. Fires at goal and puts through another one. He was all alone.
Bad play on that occasion by Collingwood, leaving Ashman with no one standing here. Down to Carlton's forward zone again. There's good play from Ralph.
Meldrum fires a goal, bang, number 2, and they're away. The hurried kick.
So Collingwood desperately want a goal. Down to their forward line, through captain Mark Williams.
Williams, not the favourite of the Carlton fans. Cloak too tall for Hunter, takes a nice mark. Cloak's not the best kick in the world, but should make the distance nonetheless. Is it through? First score.
It was through, even though he was kicking into the breeze.
Now the Blues play on as Alvin receives.
Carlton set to go into attack once again.
Long in towards
midway in the first term, a great mark to McConville.
So McConville, a chance for the Blues' 5th goal. Acute angle. Swinging back. He's guided it.
And you can see there what we're talking about when we say kicking with the breeze, because it was just guided through. Here's Johnston putting the Blues up forward once more. Murphy a chance.
Murphy straightens up and goes towards goal. Good play by Carlton.
Yeah, drifts out on that right half forward.
Collingwood through Captain Williams to the forward line. Here's Mike Richardson.
Gets his kick in times. He shoots at goal. Pretty good-looking kick, and he's goal.
But everything Collingwood did in the first term, Carlton had a reply.
Here's a look up forward.
Ashman looks towards McClure at the back.
Behind will goal, and does.
The kick from Neville Shaw.
Collingwood into full forward. It doesn't make the
it,
distance, and the big men tangle. Look at that, right on the siren.
We see Cloak and Madden having a few words. So Madden having a few words back to David Cloak. And I think Madden, Cloak,
and they all come away with a smile on their faces. But now the second quarter. Collingwood must get back into the game. Let's see what they can do.
He gets a shocking bounce, goes the wrong way. Eludes the tackle of Rhys Jones, gets it across to Taylor. He snaps at goal, and I think he's put it through. And Rhys Jones and Taylor are very quickly converged upon.
However, they did manage to sort it all out.
I said earlier, the Carlton boys ought to be saying, look, we've got a final to play in.
Brian Taylor, wearing the number 9 Guernsey for the Magpies, was not a happy man.
Brian Taylor very keen to get back there and have a few words with Reece. Madden taken out of it. Hunter.
But it was back to the game.
Is there, thrown out the back door where English is there.
English, beautifully tackled by Brian Taylor.
Brian Taylor, and BT will have a shot. Brian Taylor, 76 goals so far this year. You can now make it 77.
So Collingwood started to come back. Here's Rains going long again for Collingwood.
Taylor at the back. Here's a chance for goal number 3 for the day. 11 paces. Then he kicks at goal and he puts it straight over the top of the goal umpire. Cloak.
Close to siren time in the second term. An important time for Collingwood. They need another goal.
Back to Mark Williams. Oh, he shoots at goal, and what a great goal. What a goal.
Yes, a great performance. So at half-time, Collingwood have fought their way back to trail by just 7 points. 8 goals, 5 behinds, 53 points. To Carlton, 9-6, 60 points.
I hate Qantas. Not for selling the South Pacific round trip from California for $996. Not because they take you to Fiji and the Great Barrier Reef and New Zealand. And not because of their special discounts for kids. It's because from April through November, their low fares also bring you to Sydney and me. That's why I hate Qantas.
This Bud's for everyone who puts the roads on the map.
This Bud's for you. For all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do. This Bud's for you.
If you subscribe to the American Dream, you should subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Every business day, the Journal helps your American dream come true with complete coverage of your business, your money, and much more. Call toll-free 800-527-5300 and get 6 months of the Journal for $56. That's $7.50 off the cover price. 6 months, just $56. Call 800-527-5300 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Let's go back to the match now as we pick up play in the third quarter. And with me in the commentary box is Bob Skelton.
The fighting second quarter by Collingwood sees them back in this game. They trail by only 7 points after a goal on the siren to the Blues. Let's see what happens in the third. Fellows and Madden. No decisive tap out of the middle. It's been the freeway end that's been the dominating scoring end. Will Carlton capitalise on it in this turn? The breeze heading that way.
3 to 4 goals at least, Andy.
Yep. Glenn James putting the ball into play once again. Madden couldn't take it. Meldrum tried to tap it over the back. A hurried kick forward. was by Abernethy down towards centre half forward. Waiting down is Neville Shaw. Beautifully claimed by English. Goes to ground. And a bounce will take place. Well, I think Neville thought he was just about in the clear and had the goals in his sight. Darn it, he says. And another bounce. Collingwood's half-forward line. Cloak using his strength and using it well. Out of trouble. It was the handball from Collins across to Rains in towards Taylor. And what a strong mark. Well, he was the one up forward in the second quarter, Bobby.
He hit 4 goals in that second quarter and really brought Collingwood back. But the whole Collingwood side performed well in that second term, and Taylor did the finishing off for them. So here he is with me with a chance of kicking his 5th goal. Quite an acute angle. You can see how close he is to the boundary line.
Incidentally, it'll be number 80 for the season if he gets it. Drop punt on its way. Goal umpire has a good look. There's no BT, just off target. 1 point only. 1 straight kick, the difference. Said Carlton, Bobby, at the start of this game, any reason to change your mind at the moment?
No, I don't think so, Sandy. Collingwood for wasting time or whatever is penalised, and the ball comes up towards centre half back. English hand passes across to Ashman, who goes wide looking for Meldrum. What a good duel, Meldrum and Williams. Poor hand pass goes straight to Rains. Rains, not a good looking kick. Hunter got an awkward